Good evening, hello and welcome to this special broadcast. I'm Anusha Soni. The Central Board of Film Certification has suggested changes to the movie Pathaan and also to the song Besharam Rang, which ran into controversy recently. Right-wing groups and organizations claim that the entire song and the teaser of the film encourages quote-unquote love jihad. As we exclusively reported here on CNN News 18, CBFC has taken into account the cultural sensibilities before suggesting these changes to the movie makers. The debate between cultural sensibilities, hurt sentiments versus the free creative expression is not a new one in our country. But each time a debate of this nature props up in the public discourse, not only the movie or the subject of the controversy should be reanalyzed yet again through the eyes of the critics, like in this case the movie, but we must also introspect on our sensibilities as a society and country. Are we regressing or progressing? That's the key question. We discuss all these issues tonight on The Biggest Exclusive.
निर्णय सराहनीय है। रियल लाइफ पर भी असर डालती है। इस बात का निर्माताओं को, निर्देशकों को और कलाकारों को सभी को इन चीजों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए।
Well, Pathaan has got a rap from the CBFC. Correction or clampdown, that's the key question we are asking right now. I also want to bring in different aspects of it. You know, the love jihad angle, different controversies that have surrounded it. Is this a creative correction done by the CBFC, suggested by the CBFC, or perhaps a clampdown of a different sort that we are witnessing in this country? Let's tell you the key pointers. What is it that the CBFC has suggested to the movie makers? The key pointers emerging from this big story. The Censor Board has advised the makers to implement certain cuts. The cuts are a part of the, will be implemented in the song and also in the movie, both. The Censor Board has asked the makers to make these changes in the film, including the songs, including Besharam Rang, though specifically they have not commented on it. The Censor Board has also advised the makers to submit a revised version before making the release, before it gets the proper certification. A right balance between creativity and cultural sensibilities must be ensured. That's what Mr. Prasoon Joshi has said. Our culture and faith is glorious, not one defined by petty trivia. Also, the panel made sure that due care is taken in the age bar, whether it's an adult movie or can be seen with the family. That's another criteria that they have really looked at. So that's the broader picture that we're looking at as far as this movie is concerned. But as I said earlier, the key question is this a correction or a clampdown? Are we regressing or progressing as a society? New sensibilities always come forward. They form a part of our discourse and we continue to analyze them. Joining us on the broadcast is Sriraj Nair from the VHP. We also have Mr. Murtaza Ali Khan, who is a film critic. Manvi Taneja, who is an actress and model. And Anurag Naidu, who is a political analyst, is also joining us on the broadcast. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Murtaza Ali Khan, I'm coming to you first. When you see the CBFC making these suggestions of changes to the movie and the sort of controversy you saw, what do you make of it?
See, ever since the onset of the controversy, when all this hue and cry began and people started burning the effigies, all this kind of, commotion happened, I always maintained that let's wait for the CBFC to take its course. And let's not forget that we have somebody like Prasoon Joshi at the top of it, who is somebody who is well revered and who is also very close to, the ruling party. So in that sense, I always thought, we had to wait and we had to see how CBFC is going to handle this entire state of affairs. Because at the end of the day, the law of the land has to take its course. And the law says that the CBFC has the power. It is the body that really decides whether a film will be released, with what kind of certification, with what kind of, cuts it will release. So it's the CBFC that's going to decide. And it was always going to be the CBFC that was going to decide what will be the fate of this film. So it was completely uncalled for. All those, nuances that we saw, all the kind of, commotion we saw, the hooliganism, the vandalism, the burning of Murtazaji,
I think I refuse to take this argument that the kind of public discourse which happens around any issue, institutions are not affected by it. In fact, I think what is discussed loudly in the public debate, in media platforms, in social media, and if there is an issue or a controversy and there are views which are dominating a particular issue, they are bound to affect the institutions, whether it's the CBFC, whether it's the courts, whether it's the government. To what extent, that is debatable. But any kind of controversy that happens affects the thinking of the institutions as well. We have to take that into account.
I personally beg to differ, because I feel that our institutions, have that authority vested in them by the Constitution. And if they are really so fragile, then I think we need to really seriously give them, probably more support in that sense. So I personally feel that these institutions work independently, and all these hooliganism and all these fringe elements, they cannot influence, our institutions in what they want to see and in what they want to go ahead with.
Well, influence, I respect that opinion. You have the right to have so. I do think that influence can be a mark of fragility or agility, both ways. I mean, depending on the kind of subject you're dealing with. I'm cutting across to Sriraj Nair as well from the VHP, who's joining us on the broadcast. Sriraj ji, मैं आपसे समझना चाहूंगी, जब बेशरम रंग song आया, when it came, it was released on YouTube, there was a lot of controversy around it. A lot of people said that this controversy is for nothing. इसमें ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है, ऐसी कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, और सिर्फ कहने के लिए एक पूरी controversy create की जा रही है. CBFC ने भी एक निर्णय लिया, एक decision लिया है. आप कैसे देखते हैं CBFC के इस फैसले को?
Well, we absolutely welcome the decision of the CBFC, and we have been proved right. Whatever we have been objecting, and women were shown in an absolutely very wrong way. Families cannot sit and see this kind of songs, and we have been proved right. And the objectification of women is absolutely not done. We are a great culture. We are an ancient civilization. And this was aging, fragile Shah Rukh Khan need not do this kind of thing. Films have been made all these years. It's been almost 100 years since the film industry has come in existence. And the film movies have been made all these years. Why this kind of cheap and downtrodden,
No, but Sriraj, the objection to the movie that came from the VHP, and we have spoken to Mr. Vinod Bansal and many others, was not about the objectification of women. I mean, if that was your objection, I think that objection would apply to 90% of the content coming in from the movie world, from the movie industry, especially in Hindi cinema. But the objection was to a particular color and a particular attire being worn by the actress in that particular song. Isn't that true?
No, that was also a part, definitely. The color saffron, Besharam Rang, it was absolutely not Hindus. Why? There was no need for doing that. And the color is one aspect, and the objectification of woman is the major. You cannot show woman in this kind of fashion. And that was definitely, that has hurt the feeling of millions of people. The Honorable Home Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he even threatened that, he will not allow to run in Madhya Pradesh. So that is, and objections have come from within the film industry also. You have to understand that. It is not only from the political one or from a particular political party. Objections were raised from within the film industry itself. I have connections with a lot of film directors. They themselves said that it was absolutely not called for. So we have been proved right, and we welcome the decision of the CBFC.
All right. Manvi Taneja, who's an actress, is also joining us on the broadcast. Manvi, objectification of women and the particular color, being worn by the actress, those are the two key objections that the VHP is raising. Objectification of women has happened in the Hindi film industry, which I have watched as a kid growing up. It continues to be the trend. Sadly, it's not illegal in any democracy, including this country. So that is why in the name of commercialization, it continues to go on. But I will focus on one of the key aspects that have been spoken about extensively, which is the color, the depiction of the color, and there have also been allegations of love jihad. Sriraj has not spoken about it. I'll go back to him and talk about it. But allegations of quote-unquote love jihad in some way being encouraged by songs like these. Manvi.
See, I really don't understand why they are just pointing out love jihad, because if they consider that Shah Rukh Khan, because of Shah Rukh Khan, they are just pointing out love jihad. I would like to call out few facts of Shah Rukh Khan, that he is married to a Hindu girl, and he has never forced Gauri to convert her religion. His son name is Abraham, not Abraham. So, and if you enter his house, there's a small temple. He worship all our religion festival. So if you relate it with Love Jihad, I don't think you are doing justice to him. And this is not the first time he's working with Deepika. The first movie was Om Shanti Om, and there were no objection. And the second movie was Happy New Year, and nobody had an objection. Maybe because Sonu Sood was there. Sonu Sood was there. So what I want to say is that they try to wear a black color specs when they have supporters, or they want to see their supporters on the screen, and they try to wear BJP specs if it is Shah Rukh Khan, and it is so bad. I don't have words to say that. See, censor board, they're pointing out on Khan, but where were they at the time of Kashmir Files when there are a certain section of society, they say is that they passed the movie without checking the facts and figures, that the whole perception of the movie was shown. Somebody said something, I think.
No, Manvi. I want to keep Kashmir Files out of this. For the simple reason. No, one second. No, one second, please. My request to both the guests. 1 second, please. 1 second. No, Manvi, 1 second. Kashmir Files. 1 second. Shiraji, 1 second. Shiraji, 1 second. I am not going to allow a screaming match here. Manvi, my request to you. Kashmir Files was on a very, very critical and a serious issue. I know the legacy of that movie is a contested one. There are critics and there are people who support the movie. But to equate that controversy, Manvi, 1 second. 1 second, Manvi. But to equate that controversy with this one, I think is belittling the subject and also the agony of the community, what they've gone through for decades. So I'm going to keep that aside for right now for the purpose of this discussion so that we don't deviate from the topic. But you spoke about creative freedom, you spoke about creative expression and how people are cherry picking criticism, right? I will take that point to Anurag Naidu as well. Mr. Naidu, coming to you. When it comes to criticism, do you think that a certain section of people or certain section of groups are being very selective in the manner in which they are making this criticism? Is this targeting of some kind? I think that's what she was trying to say.
No, I mean, it would be very unfair to say, everything is politically driven or everything is religiously driven or everything is communally driven. It is very convenient to make these arguments, but some people tend to be very hypocritic. And when they say in one side, they say, oh, let's be liberal, let's give space to everyone to voice their opinion. On the other side, we don't practice that. The whole fundamental argument here is certain section of the society or certain group of people, whether they are fringe or not, they are human beings and they have certain opinion that they have expressed. इससे हमें फर्क पड़ता है नहीं पड़ता है, that's a different topic. But they have expressed their opinion. We may like or we may not, we may dislike. We have a regulatory body in the form of CBFC, and now we have, a kind of observation coming out from them, which we all respect by and large. And the film fraternity also respect, because it is not some politician heading the CBFC. Yeah. It's a person from the film fraternity heading it. So that's a different story. But if you talk about the color and the religious aspect to it, yeah. I mean, just like how we have a tricolor which cannot be used for certain, for certain applications, or you cannot just wear it randomly. Similar to it, a large section of India, and I'm not vouching for them, I'm telling you the practical fact of India, a large section of India, including my own house, we have a saffron flag right on the top. It is not for a Bhagwa or a BJP. No. We look at after Hanuman. We say we have a Hanuman statue. We have a saffron flag. We see certain colors as a very something which is very sacrosanct, which is very holy in nature. Some people might have an objection. I think we can give space to that discussion instead of rubbishing the fact, telling that, oh my God, you are just creating so much of fuss around it. It is creativity. Deepika is looking gorgeous. Nobody is denying the fact that Deepika is looking gorgeous. The whole argument is, should there be no right for people to express their opinion?
No, I think whether I agree or disagree with them, I think they do have a right to put their point of view. Murtaza ji, you have a point. Go ahead. Go ahead, Murtaza Ali. Please go ahead.
I was saying that I totally agree with Anurag that everybody has the right to exercise their views and opinions, but burning effigies, calling for cinema halls to be burned down, and all those hue and cry for violence, that is, we need to be very, very wary of, because let's not forget what happened in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. thousands of people were burned alive in theaters. Do we want that kind of a situation to arise in our great country?
I think that's a lot of fear-mongering,
so let's
isn't it?
also acknowledge the fact that
No,
CBFC
that's fear-mongering.
has a
That's
central
fear-mongering.
authority.
I don't
Prasoon
agree
Joshi
with
has a
that.
central authority. Why not respect that? Why always take law in our own hand? Why always ask for, all these kind of, violence chants, and why are we
Who called for
always getting
violence?
so
No, I'm
aggressive?
curious.
Why-
Murtaza Ali, who called for violence? Everybody said they're going to ban the movie. We are going to approach the CBFC. It's not. Who called for violence?
Shah Rukh Khan were burned. They were burning the posters.
That was a
They were
protest.
asking for burning Shah Rukh Khan alive.
So
were you not even?
No. I'm asking you.
Shah Rukh Khan being burned alive.
No. I'm asking you.
Remarks about Deepika in the past when she did Padma.
That was Karni Sena. That was Karni Sena. That's different. Yeah,
That's
that
the
was
kind
different.
of
No.
discourse
I do take the broader point that we don't know that when this protest really trickles into a law and order situation, and that's the fear that we should be really, really cautious about. I want to bring in Sriraj Nair also into the discussion. Mr. Nair, there's another point which was made by various spokespersons of the VHP through the discussion, that somewhere this depiction of women is not correct, and there was also the mention of the word love jihad. How is that related here, sir? Mr. Nair.
See, first of all, as my co-panelist was saying, nobody threatened to burn theatres. Right to protest is a fundamental right for every citizen. So there were people who were protesting, and they had all the right to protest. There's nothing wrong in it. Now, showing soft porn in the name of creativity cannot be permissible in this country. Everybody has got daughters and sisters. So, this whole activity that, portraying soft porn. So that people didn't agree and showing a particular color.
Decide whether it's soft porn or whether it's, a movie.
And
one at a time. I'll come to you.
As Anurag rightly said, there is a respect for this color. There is sentimental value for saffron. So people were hurt. So they had all the right to protest. So they protested. But coming into this, definitely there are people who said that they are respected. Love jihad, so that was their opinion. We never threatened violence. We never threatened any kind of hate. We were only against the maker, and we wanted the CBFC to take it.
Murtaza, a quick response from you, then I'll go to Manvi and Anurag. A quick response.
I'm comparing Kashmir.
One second. Murtaza, one second. Shirajji, make your point. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Comparing Kashmir files to this kind of form is absolutely.
No, I already took an objection to that. I already took an objection to that. That's outside the debate. That's not included in the debate. Murtaza, quick point from you, and then I'll go to other guests. Murtaza, please go ahead.
I'm just saying, Mr. Shriraj, are we okay now, or do we still want to further impose more cuts? Are you happy now? Can we just move ahead now with the film release, or there will be more such demands for further cuts in the film? Can we reach a agreement here now? After that, what Prasoon Joshi has said, will you now abide by what Prasoon Joshi has said? If the cuts are imposed, will we be able to have the film finally releasing, or will there be more human cries?
What Prasoon Joshi said, Pathaan went through the due and thorough examining process as per the CBFC guidelines. The committee has guided the makers to implement the advice in the film, including the songs, and submit the revised version prior to theatrical release. So let them submit. Based on that, let the CBFC take a decision. We respect the CBFC.
Okay. Now, I think we have spent a substantial amount of time onto the debate talking about the cultural sentiments, sensitivities, and Anurag rightly pointed out that we may agree or disagree with a certain section if they have an objection to something, but they must have a right to be heard. Anurag, in the same spirit and vein, I want to ask you that what should be the role of the institutions? If we go on and tread on this path, then every hurt sentiment will have to be taken into account by the CBFC or some other institution in this country. Where should institutions draw a line when it comes to creative freedom and expression in our country? Ours is a beautiful, vibrant culture with so many religions, diversity, that also creates a breeding ground for millions of hurt sensibilities, because people see things very differently in this country from one region, from one religion to another. Anurag.
So I think it's a very pertinent question, and I think the question and the answer to this is not very simple, and it's not something that I can tell you in a line. But the point is, what I can tell you for the fact is, we cannot make it a black and white right now in the rule book. Otherwise, we would never need any regulatory body to be headed by a human being. We could have well have an automated robot to give decisions. But the whole point of having a human being chairing that committee with a lot of members coming from diverse background is to discuss every complex problem. And solution for every problem cannot be a binary. It has to be an analytical and logical reasoning with a very practical and pragmatic approach of the day, and looking at the sentimental values of the society and the balance of law and order. Of course, nobody has the right to take law in their hands, but it is up to the committee and the constitution and the framework of the law that has to, give the decisions looking at every problem wherein objectively and then individually with a value of a holisticness into it. And then there is no rule to say that one is right or wrong, but every problem should be dealt in a very unique way.
You theorized it very correctly, but I think, as you said, in reality it becomes all the more tricky to translate those ideas into action. Manvi, I ask this to you as an artist who's working in the industry, who's observing different pieces of art being made. I think more than ever before, we have different platforms for creative expression and different kind of storytelling which is happening. So the space is expanding. But at the same time, there are different people, different voices becoming a part of the discourse which were earlier not heard. Does it make you feel that perhaps the space for creative freedom is shrinking? Because I'm sure many people disagree with that. Manvi.
Why they have a selective approach for few people only? And I must say that it's a handful of people who just want pointing out objection on this particular song. If I talk about Manoj Tiwari, so there's a song where the lyrics goes like this: "Baby beer pee ke nache chum chum chum." He's wearing a saffron color scarf, and he's making a sadhu standing next to him. The sadhu is also dancing, and the female model, she's dancing, she's holding a beer, even Manoj is holding a beer. So what kind of expression is this? Where are these people gone when they see this type of song? And on the other hand, if I talk about Kangana, she did Dhakar and she was wearing a black color bikini and a saffron color bikini in Dhakar. Nobody have objection with that. She also did intimate scene, but nobody will speak up, because the section of society, they allow these supporters to do anything. And if I go one more step ahead, in Lockup, she made her contestants wear a saffron color dress, and they had a smoking zone. So where were the sentiments there? Were the sentiments not heard? And even there was a poster release wherein she has put her shoes on that saffron color cloth. So where were these people? They don't speak up then. They just don't see what it is going, and just because he's Khan.
You've made a fair point. You've made a fair point. Shiraj ji, multiple examples जो मानवी ने दिए इस समय, बहुत सारे उन्होंने उदाहरण दिए, और उन्होंने कहा कि कंगना रनौत ने, बहुत सारे दूसरे एक्टर्स ने भी, कुछ इस समय जो बीजेपी के नेता हैं, पहले एक्टर्स रहे हैं, उन्होंने भी ऐसे बहुत सारे गाने किए हैं, मूवीज किए हैं जहां पर भगवा रंग या सैफरन रंग का इस्तेमाल किया गया है. तब तो किसी तरीके की कंट्रोवर्सी या विवाद नहीं खड़ा किया गया. यहां पर ही क्यों ये विवाद खड़ा किया जा रहा है? शिवराज जी.
See, the controversy has erupted and the decision has been taken by the CBFC. Let us respect the CBFC those days. So, as far if the CBFC has taken a decision, so that means there was something wrong. Otherwise, the makers have all the right to challenge the CBFC. So let us respect what CBFC has directed to the filmmaker, and let us not discuss further. That's it.
They have some political pressure. That's why they're just pointing out on cutting the song and removing the scenes. Why they don't see what Kangana did.
We cannot have soft porn.
No, they don't feel objectionable when Akshay Kumar. No, they don't feel objectionable when Akshay Kumar make their heroines dance in a saffron colored dress. They don't feel objectionable when Akshay Kumar insult God and oh my God. They don't feel objectionable when Akshay Kumar wears a Bhagwa Rang kurti in Bhool Bhulaiya. Uspe Hare Ram Hare Krishna likha. They don't feel objectionable. Where does they go then?
Anurag, you want to come in there? Why is this outrage selective? I think there is a fair point she made there.
No, absolutely there is no point. When you took example of Akshay Kumar, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, I would request the panelists to go Google out. There was a lot of objection on Akshay Kumar. He was cornered.
Oh my God!
You would have banned that film. No, you would have banned.
No, but nobody has banned. Nobody has banned Pathaan also, na? Manvi, nobody has banned Pathaan.
There was a demand. There was a revolt, and there was an objection to that. And let's not be very selective, and let's not go by our
then
convenience.
what happened? The scene should be deleted. No, the scene would have been deleted there and then only. Then why it was?
Manvi, let him finish. Manvi, let him finish. Manvi, let him finish. Anurag, go ahead.
Let me finish. When the panelist is saying that it is only handful of the people, if it was handful of the people, madam, we would not be discussing it on a national media prime time, and it would not have been such an important subject. And if it was Manoj Tiwari's song or any other song, then if these are not the handful of people, you would have always had objections on them, and we would have always discussed this long back. But the point here is, the fundamental point is, there is an outrage in the large area of India. I would particularly point out at the northern India and the central belt, which is predominantly spiritual in nature when it comes to, a certain color. I don't want to name it categorically, because then again, the debate will run into some other direction. But let's not draw a conclusion so soon that it is about Shah Rukh Khan. Nobody has took his name. It is you who is putting the name out. You tell me one person tell me one leader. I don't want to name a politician, a minister who gave a speech. He never mentioned about Shah Rukh Khan. It's you who are speaking about Shah Rukh Khan and trying to create and trying to incite the situation and trying to create the news out of it. And that is objectionable. It's people like you who create imaginary situations,
all right, Murtaza,
imaginary conversations.
Anurag, Murtaza has a point to make. Then I'll come back to you. Murtaza, please go ahead.
So all I'm saying is that, Anurag, let's be fair here. Everybody who came out and everybody who questioned the film and the use of color and the use of lyrics, they categorically pointed out Deepika and Shah Rukh. So let's not be so unequivocal in that regard.
Why do you want to say Deepika and Shah Rukh now?
Clear mention of Shah Rukh Khan. There was a clear mention of Deepika. There was mention of Tukde Gang. So let's not. It's been selective, and Manvi is right to a great extent that it's been a little more selective this time around. So I would say that you have to probably reassess what you have just said and probably reassess it in the greater picture.
Murtaza, can I also no. I have said this in this debate, that this debate is about free creative expression, the limits of it, and in the same vein, I'm more than happy to listen to all the expressions and voices which are coming here. But the sheer fact that earlier the objections were not raised, right now they feel that these are issues, they have the platform and the avenue to raise their voices, so they are raising it. The fact that it was not raised earlier, I mean, is that really evidence of some kind of duplicity? Is that what you're implying?
See, I'm not saying that there is any duplicity. I'm just saying that it's a clear case of convenience. Sometimes when a thing works for you, you want to, like, let me take you back to the 90s. There was a Karishma Kapoor song with lyrics sexy, sexy, and it was changed to baby, baby. Then back in the 50s, 60s, the censor won't even allow a word like Joban in the songs. That Joban, with its dual meaning, that one is the dare and one is the youth aspect of it. Okay. So we have gone through, these different steps. And in 2016, we had the Sham Manigal Committee, which pointed out that we need a serious, reformation with our laws. That is not happening. Why is it not happening? Why for the last 6 years? I'm speaking here purely as the advocate of cinema, as the advocate of Bollywood. Why is it that always Bollywood has to take the brunt? At one point, you say that we have to compete
because
with
Hollywood. Because the storytelling of this nation, Murtaza, happens through Bollywood, quote unquote, or Hindi cinema. They take the baton of representing our culture across the world. This is the film industry that has brought us a lot of laurels, and if there is some kind of controversy of disproportion, it is likely to happen on Bollywood only, because they occupy that very important space in Indian discourse and dialogue. Shiraji, you had a point to make. Please go ahead.
Well, see, all these years, I said that it's almost 100 years since we've been seeing movies, and nobody has, especially when I'm talking about as the VHP spokesperson, we were born here in Mumbai. VHP was formed here in Mumbai. We never interfered in any kind of creative freedom of the film industry. We never. And we had all these years, films have been very clear. Some films as somebody quoted here. Okay. And for all those films also, they were objecting great. But today, in today's perspective, we need to portray some decency in the society. And there are youth who are seeing, there are young children who are seeing, and because of these things, rapes and everything, all kind of wrong things are happening.
I think we need to have more such debate. We need to have more such debates when it comes to limits of creative expression and freedom in this country. But for now, I'm completely out of time. I thank you all for taking out time and joining us on the broadcast, where here's some more. Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani's younger son, Anant, got engaged to Radhika Merchant. The couple had a traditional Roka ceremony at the Srinathji temple in Nathdwara in Rajasthan in the presence of family and friends. The wedding date is not known as of now. The couple have been friends for years. In fact, in June this year, Mukesh and Neeta Ambani had hosted an Arangetram for Radhika, who's a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. Leaving you with these images, Shivani Gupta joins you with Plain Speak.